Hello, my name is Wayne Doyle, and I live in Grand Haven, Michigan. My current occupation is I am a fieldwork coordinator for an occupational therapy assistant program at a local college. By training, I am both a physical therapy assistant and an occupational therapy assistant. This is my last course that I am taking for the DHSC program, and I graduate on the 17th of this month. Distance education has roots back to the 1830s and 1840s. In 1840, a correspondence course teaching shorthand was offered in the country of England. This was then later expanded to other programs. In 1883, Chattahooga College of Liberal Arts in New York offered correspondence courses in conjunction with a summer institute. Yale professor William Harper noted that the students who completed the correspondence courses and summer institute were more knowledgeable and better prepared for classroom settings than people who took traditional courses. In the 1890s through the 1920s, correspondence courses were offered that promoted the trades. For example, in Pennsylvania, there was correspondence courses that were offered to mining employees for the prevention of mining accidents. Also around the same time frame in the state of Wisconsin, there were short courses offered to farmers and through extensions of universities. These early successes helped build the framework and theory we refer to as e-learning. Distance education courses were originally called correspondence courses, but the names have greatly varied over the years. As technology has changed and developed, the name of these distance education courses has taken on names like computer assisted instruction, which was used in various mathematics and engineering courses, including business administration and statistics. These date back to about the 1960s. Around the same time was another concept called computer-based education, which utilized computers and education in one setting. During the 1990s, a term was coined mega university, computer facilitated learning. This is where constructive approaches contrasted with teacher-driven lectures. This purpose was to categorize and highlight learning process outcomes. Later came the term blended learning, which focused on a classroom that was partially online and partially face-to-face. This meshed the two different types of learning opportunities together for one course. The last of these platforms that I will discuss is e-learning, which is a concept that uses electronic resources, web interactive activities. What is not important is time. These courses allow students to participate in the course on their own time, in their own space, no matter where they are. There are many other platforms which are discussed, but for the purpose of this lecture, I will only discuss these. There is no true consensus in literature of what e-learning is really defined as, but rather, the consensus is that e-learning must involve some form of electronic technology. This can include computers, videos, requiring electronic presentations from the students, or the instructors providing electronic presentations. Another aspect of e-learning is asynchronous courses, in which there's not a scheduled time for all students to participate, but rather they are allowed to participate at their leisure or opportunity within a given time frame. There's also synchronous courses where the students must participate as a cohort or as a class at a specified time. There's also e-learning that can occur via television. So, for example, a camera is placed in a classroom or multiple classrooms, and those feed into an instructor. From there, anytime that a sound is made within a course, the camera automatically flips to that classroom, allowing the teacher to interact with the students. While at the same time, the students are allowed to interact with one another if they are at different locations. In the 1970s, Moore started developing the theory of independent study and the theory of transactional distance. What Moore discovered was that there was a need for a two-way communication between the learner and the facilitator, and that the university is also responsible for developing a structure that is responsive to the needs of each individual learner as requested. Over the years, Moore added more terms to his theories, such as autonomous and non-autonomous. He determined that autonomous was learner-directed, whereas non-autonomous, the materials were teacher-determined along with the quantity of learning that occurred. In the 1980s, Holmberg developed a theory of interaction and communication. This theory is based on the principle of guided didactic conversation between distance students and distance educators. Part of this theory is that students must be motivated and derive pleasure from the learning process. Holmberg later redefined his theory in the 1990s, stating that distance education students must be very independent. This further expanded theory says that society benefits from distance education by providing professionals and occupations for students who cannot relocate for the purpose of continuing education. In the 1980s, Puritan developed a synthesis of existing theories. She believed that any medium could be used to teach a course. She also believed that circumstances with distance education could be more cost-effective than traditional classrooms in a structure or building. In the 1990s, Keegan developed the equivalency theory, an American theory of distance education. His belief was that online courses should not be exactly the same as traditional courses, but more importantly, that they are equivalent and that the outcomes for both groups are the same. There are many other theories which can be learned about e-learning. However, these are some of the stronger theories that support an e-learning theory, which is difficult to define in itself as it takes into account many different learning theories, constructivism, behaviorism, and social cognitive theories, just to name a few. E-learning also borrows theories from industrial sociology, Fordism, Neo-Fordism, and Post-Fordism. Fordism believes in a mass production or mass scale that allows increased administration control over a course rather than the instructor themselves. This allows for a division of labor as a process and courses are developed. Neo-Fordism also allows for high volumes of a product, but allow for more flexibility and diversity. Post-Fordism allows for product innovation, processes, but requires an instructor to put all of the labor into the course themselves, rather than being divided up amongst a group. The advantage of Post-Fordism is it allows instructors to rapidly change course materials to meet the needs of the industries they serve. Ruth and Caspar theorized that e-learning must result in deductive learning. They also theorized that learners must be able to analyze a process or new knowledge. Learners are also required to design a research approach, along with the development, implementation, and evaluation of a research project. Now, these research projects do not have to be vast in scope. They could be as simple as a paper, or it could be utilized in a workplace where employees are required to complete annual training events that are done remotely. For e-learning to be effective, course developers must keep several things in mind, whether the course is didactic or technical. 3 key elements are what, how, and why. Developers must remember the course content that they are wanting to deliver. The how is this material going to be delivered to the students, returned back to the instructors for grading, and how is the material going to be stored? And why is developing a process that improves performance of the students throughout the course, or it can also be improving future performance of cohorts as holes are found in the course materials themselves. There are many advantages to e-learning. Some of these strengths include flexibility. Flexibility allows the students to participate in a course at their own availability. This allows them to schedule family events or work events, vacations, etc. They are not tied to a traditional Monday through Friday coursework. They are allowed to access the course materials middle of the day, middle of the night, again, at their own convenience. Another strength is economy of scale. For example, an institution may have the idea for a program, but there are not enough potential students in their given area. By delivering the course content electronically, they are able to reach a larger audience across the world. Electronic learning also allows students to access an education in remote areas, as long as they have access to the internet. Another advantage is greater degree selection. Rather than a student having to relocate to a university for a program, now they can access it via the World Wide Web. Previously, students were also limited by degrees that were offered at local universities or colleges. In 2009, the Department of Education published a meta-analysis that determined online students frequently learn more than traditional students due to the amount of time they are required to participate in their studies independently. Other research findings have found that traditional learners and online learners have very similar outcomes. However, part of this determination is measuring student satisfaction. There are some weaknesses to e-learning theories, such as sometimes students feel isolated as they do not have a person sitting next to them to help them with their fears, their anxieties, and their struggles. Students can also experience technology issues. This can include problems with internet outages or computer problems that do not interface with the learning management system. Online degrees also suffer from a high dropout rate. There is also a social stigma that online learning is less effective than traditional learning. E-learning has many settings that it can be delivered in. This can include universities, colleges, clinicians who are in need of continuing education for licensure. Employers can also conduct their annual training events remotely rather than sitting everybody in one auditorium. Employers also offer e-learning for new hires rather than sitting with an HR manager or a group of individuals sitting with an HR manager. They complete the majority of the requirements over a distance. Students who are completing their clinical training can also complete their HR requirements via an electronic delivery method rather than sitting in an HR manager's office. The three applications that I would like to apply to my classroom include student electronic presentations, synchronous delivery, and remote office hours or tutoring. In the past, I have had students make videos and upload them to YouTube to be used as presentations in the class. However, in the future, I may start requiring them to perform a presentation using PowerPoint, then upload as a video to YouTube to share with the class. This will allow me to free up time to explore other opportunities where students are struggling with course materials. Being that I'm in Michigan, I'm sure that we will have some snow days this winter. We usually have a few, although the college does close very rarely. If we do have a snow day, one of the things I would like to try is a synchronous delivery method, requiring students to log on, participate in an open chat on our learning management system. In the past, I've used asynchronous delivery methods, but I'm intrigued by the synchronous delivery method, and I'll have to work out the details of what would occur if a student is unable to participate for various reasons. Another idea that I've developed from this is having remote office hours, which would allow me to stay in contact with students. I have done this in the past many years ago using Skype. I found that very few students were willing to take this as an opportunity. However, I may circle back and try this again and using a different format, such as what's offered through the learning management system rather than Skype. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I look forward to your feedback and your thought processes about what I've done here through the discussion board. Again, thank you and Merry Christmas.